This tutorial is gonna learn you how to make the best 808 and 909 style hand claps with Ableton Live's operator synthesizer. There are three key components. White noise. A 12 dB per octave band-pass filter set between 600 and 1000 Hz with a small amount of resonance. Most importantly, a volume envelope that looks like this. This envelope shape is achieved by routing a sawtooth-shaped low-frequency oscillator to the volume parameter of the oscillator. The LFO in turn is being ramped down in speed and intensity by the auxiliary envelope and the envelope that controls the level of the LFO. Let's start with the initial patch. Begin by setting the oscillator's waveform to white noise. Next, set the envelope which controls the level of this oscillator. Turn the sustain parameter all the way down since this sound will not sustain. Turn the initial level all the way up since the sound should begin immediately. Since there is no sustain, the release section of the envelope cannot be used, so attack and decay will behave like decay and release. The attack envelope section makes up the main body of the sound. It ramps the level of the oscillator down from the initial level to the peak level. The second section of the envelope is set by the decay and gives the clap a reverberant echo by ramping down from the peak level to silence. The level of this reverb tail is determined by the peak level parameter. The length of the tail is set by the envelope's decay. Importantly, all envelopes in this sound should be set to trigger mode so the entire sound can be triggered by a note of any length. Good values for this envelope are anywhere between 40 and 400 milliseconds of attack. Peak level and decay are entirely of your choosing. We'll go with -13 dB and 800 milliseconds. Next, let's move on to the filter. Select the 12 decibel band-pass filter. Set the center point to a frequency between 600 and 1200 Hz. Lower center frequencies will produce darker and deeper hand claps. Higher frequency center points will produce brighter hand claps. Resonance should be set around 1. Slightly higher and lower resonance values can sound good as well. In the filter there is the option of adding distortion to the clap by turning on the shaper. The level of the drive can be set between -12 and +12 decibels. When using the shaper, especially on the hard setting, adjusting the level of the oscillator can achieve a more nuanced range of distorted sounds. The final elements are the LFO routed to the volume of the noise oscillator and the two envelopes that control its amount and rate. These are the most difficult elements and integral to getting a good clap sound and should be tweaked a lot until it sounds good. To send the LFO to the noise oscillator level, unselect A, B, C, D in filter. In the field marked destination B, select volume A and set amount to 100%. The LFO should be set to ramp down. Amount to 100%. In the field adjacent to waveform, select high for high rate. A good starting place for a useful range of rate values is about 30. The desired envelope of the clap sound has at least 2 but no more than 4 to 6 ramp downs. The LFO's amount over time can be set via an envelope which allows the amount of ramp downs sent to the noise oscillator level to be set precisely. The LFO should only be sent for as long as less than the decaying section of the noise oscillator's envelope. The reverberant tailing section of the clap should have no ramp downs. So, by the time the noise oscillator's attack section has ended and reached peak level, the LFO should no longer be affecting the noise oscillator's level. The auxiliary/pitch envelope will be used in order to ramp down the rate of the LFO over time. Set LFO rate in the field marked destination B. Unselect A, B, C, D and LFO. Set initial to 0 steps. Sustain, peak and end set to -24. The attack section will control the rate at which the LFO's rate slows down. The values of about 30 to 100 milliseconds give or take should be useful. The amount of this envelope can be set as desired but usually sounds good at 50 to 100%. This patch can have many variations. Here are a few.